Welcome to the European Association for Higher Education Advancements YouTube and podcast channel. We're doing a deep dive today into finding the perfect job for you. You know, there are a lot of resources out there that are about how to be the perfect candidate. But we're kind of flipping the script on that. We're taking inspiration from an article by the EAEA called 7 Things to Look For During Your Job Hunt.
I like that.
And instead of focusing on, being the perfect candidate, we're going to focus on finding the perfect employer for you.
I love that. I think that's a really refreshing take because, so much of the advice out there is, how do you make yourself the most appealing to any employer? And it really should be. Is this a place I even want to work?
Exactly. So this article really puts the power back into your hands.
Yeah.
And really emphasizes finding a workplace that aligns with your values and your aspirations instead of just, checking boxes off a resume.
Exactly.
And one of the quotes from the article that I thought was really powerful is most people spend a large portion of their time in the workplace, meaning that the decision of where to work has a significant impact on your life.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
That's some serious food for thought.
Yeah, for sure.
What'd you say?
We've all had those jobs where it just makes you miserable and your life feels worse because of it.
Exactly.
So it's really important to think about that beforehand. What are the things that are really important to you in a workplace, and what are your non-negotiables? Maybe it's, flexibility or a really collaborative spirit or a company that's really committed to social impact. But it's crucial to know what your values are, because if you end up at a job that really clashes with that, it's going to make you really unhappy.
Right. It's like wearing a pair of shoes that look amazing, but they pinch your feet with every step you take.
Totally.
You might impress people with your style, but you're going to be miserable the whole time.
Yes, absolutely.
And speaking of fit, the article spends a lot of time talking about company culture.
Yes.
Which, we hear that phrase all the time.
We do.
But
what does it actually mean?
Right. What does it mean?
I think it's really the personality of the organization. It's the shared values, beliefs, and behaviors that actually make up the work environment. And it's kind of like the unwritten rules of how things work. Is it a formal environment, or is it a casual environment? Is it really competitive? Or is it more collaborative? Do people kind of work in silos, or is there a sense of teamwork? And I love that the article poses these questions that really make you think. It says, would you want to grab coffee with your coworkers outside of work? Do people genuinely seem happy to be there?
Yes.
And these questions might seem kind of superficial, but they're really good indicators of if you're going to actually enjoy spending, 40 plus hours a week in this environment.
Right. Because if you're not, then
that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah. And it's tough because companies have these beautifully crafted images on their websites, and they're trying to present the best possible picture.
Of course.
So how do you get beyond that?
Yeah. What are some ways that you can...
I think doing a little detective work can really help.
Yeah, I love that.
So Glassdoor reviews can be really useful.
Yeah.
But you have to use them strategically.
Right.
Don't just look at the overall rating. You really want to look for the patterns in what people are saying. Are people consistently praising the work-life balance? Or are there a lot of red flags about, a toxic boss or a lack of communication from management?
Oh, that's good.
You can also look on LinkedIn and see what people who work at the company are saying about it. Do their profiles kind of align with what the company says their values are? Are they engaged in their work?
It can be very telling.
You can tell a lot from that.
Yeah. And even, if you have the most amazing company culture in the world, it's not going to make up for a mismatch in values when it comes to the company's mission.
Exactly. And I think this goes beyond just finding a job that aligns with your passions. It's really about what are your core values. And then finding a company whose mission reflects those values. And sometimes that might mean making some tough choices, like maybe turning down a higher salary at a company that you don't really believe in.
Yes.
Or whose values don't resonate with you.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing we're talking about here.
Right.
Really taking a stand for what matters to you.
And the article gave a really good example of this. It's like, would you rather work for a company developing cutting-edge tech or one that is dedicated to providing clean water to underserved communities?
Yeah.
Both are important.
Of course they are.
Yeah. But
which one speaks to your soul?
Yes.
Which one really makes you feel like you're making a difference?
Right.
That matters to you?
That's the key question that you have to ask yourself.
It is. And only you can answer that.
Yeah, only you can answer that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because everybody's values are different.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Yes. And it's about, finding that sweet spot where what you're good at and what you're passionate about intersects with the mission of the company that you can get behind.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about another important thing. Transparency.
Okay.
This article puts it perfectly.
Yeah.
It's much more agreeable than being in the dark, feeling like something is going on that you don't know about.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Right.
Nobody wants to work at a place where information is being hoarded.
Right.
Or where people are making decisions behind closed doors and you feel like you're not in the loop.
Exactly. And that creates a culture of distrust.
It does. And anxiety.
And,
right.
Sometimes you can tell during an interview if they're being vague about the job description or if they're not really answering your questions directly, or if they're just hesitant to really talk about what's going on in the company or its plans for the future. So how can we sniff these red flags out?
I think the most important thing is to ask direct questions.
Right.
Like, don't be afraid to ask about their communication style, how they share information about the company's performance, their approach to feedback, things like that.
Yeah.
And a transparent organization will be happy to answer those questions.
Right.
They'll be upfront about their challenges and their successes because they want their employees to feel a sense of ownership.
Exactly.
And trust.
It's a two-way street.
It is. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
And you deserve
to
work in a place where you feel informed,
yes,
included,
yes,
not kept in the dark.
For sure.
Now let's talk about the balance between seeking stability and avoiding stagnation.
Right. Because we all want that secure job.
Yes.
But we also want to make sure that we're growing and developing.
Right.
And we're not just stuck in a rut.
Exactly. And the article has some really good tips for assessing a company's stability. Like, looking at their financial health.
Yeah.
You know how many layoffs have they had? Their history of restructuring.
Yeah.
What's their overall longevity in the sector? So how can people, how can our listeners gather this information?
I mean, you can look at websites like Owler or Crunchbase.
Okay.
Those can give you some information about a company's financial history and performance.
Okay.
And you can always check out LinkedIn.
Right.
To kind of see how the company has been growing and what kind of employee turnover they've had.
Okay.
And in terms of when it's okay to take a risk. On a less established company, I think that really depends on your individual risk tolerance and your career goals.
That makes sense. So what are some, what are some trade-offs that people should be aware of?
I think at a newer company, you might have the opportunity to wear a lot of different hats and to really make a big impact.
Yeah.
But there might be less job security. Your career path might not be as clearly defined.
Okay.
You might have to work longer hours.
Right.
And you're probably going to have to be a lot more proactive about seeking learning and development opportunities.
Which brings us to continuous learning.
Yes.
The article really emphasizes
that
continuous learning is so important.
Yes.
Both for personal growth and for career advancement.
Absolutely.
And, there are some perks.
There are.
Can help you identify if a company values employee development.
For sure.
Tuition reimbursement, robust training programs, opportunities to collaborate on new challenging projects. But what if you're at a company?
What if your company doesn't have formal programs?
Right. what if they don't offer these things?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Right?
I mean, that doesn't mean that learning stops.
Right.
You can always, take ownership of your own development by like exploring online courses or attending industry conferences or even, connecting with mentors in your field. So it's really about that mindset of continuous learning, not necessarily just about the formal structures.
Yes, always be learning.
Exactly. Always be growing.
Okay, so let's get real for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about, culture and mission and transparency and growth. But at the end of the day, compensation matters.
It does.
Right. You got to pay the bills.
You got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And the article wisely points out that it's not just about the salary number. It's about the whole package.
Yes, it is.
So you got to think about
You do.
things like health insurance and retirement plans and vacation time, parental leave.
Yeah.
Even, those fun perks.
Yes.
Like gym memberships or company discounts.
Exactly. All those little extra things.
So how can listeners really weigh the value?
Yeah. How do you figure out which benefits package is the best one for you?
Right. And are there certain benefits that should be non-negotiables?
I think it really depends on your individual needs and priorities.
Right.
So, for example, if you have a family, having really comprehensive health insurance is probably going to be at the top.
Yeah, that would be really important.
Of your list.
Okay.
But if you're someone who really values work-life balance, then having, generous vacation time.
Yes.
And maybe flexible work arrangements. Those might be your deal breakers.
Okay, so it's about knowing what you need.
Yeah, know your needs.
Yeah.
And be realistic about what you're willing to compromise on.
Okay, so we've talked about, what to look for in a company and their offerings.
Yes.
But how can people determine if a specific role is a good fit for them?
Well, the first place to start is the job description.
Right.
But,
But don't just skim it.
Don't just skim it.
Yeah.
Really dissect it.
Okay.
Look beyond all the fancy titles and the buzzwords.
Yeah.
And really think about, what are the day-to-day responsibilities of this job?
Yeah.
What skills and experiences are they really looking for? And does that sound like something you would actually enjoy doing?
Yeah, because a lot of times job descriptions are so vague.
Yes. What does excellent communication skills mean?
What does that even mean?
Yeah. How can people kind of dig deeper?
Yeah, I think the interview process is where you really get the chance to get clarity on that.
Right.
So don't be afraid to ask questions about, what the role entails, what the team dynamic is like, what the expectations are for someone in this position.
Right.
And that not only helps you understand the job better, but it also gives you a sense of if you would actually thrive in that environment.
It's all about finding the right fit.
It is.
Not just any job.
Yeah.
Right. And,
it's easy to get caught up in the job hunt and just take whatever you can get.
Right.
But you don't have to settle for a job that makes you miserable.
Exactly. Even if it seems like
the only option.
The only option at the time.
Yeah. So this whole approach of focusing on what you want from a job is so important.
It's empowering.
It is, because you get to decide what success looks like for you.
Yes. And speaking of success.
Yes.
How can
we set ourselves up for long-term career growth?
Right. Even in the early stages of our careers.
Even when you're just starting out.
Yeah. How do we think long-term?
Well, I think it starts with having a vision for where you want to be in the future.
Right.
What are your long-term goals? What do you want to achieve?
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you want to make? Right. What skills do you need to develop to get there? Okay. And once you have that vision, then you can start to map out a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some
practical steps
to take?
Well, networking is huge.
Okay.
But that doesn't have to be
going to all these stuffy industry events or awkwardly trying to sell yourself to strangers.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's really just about building genuine relationships with people in your field.
So like reaching out to...
Exactly. So like former colleagues,
Okay.
classmates, maybe even friends and family members who work in your industry or who know someone who does.
Okay, so just starting with...
Yeah, just start with your network.
For existing network.
Exactly.
And then kind of expand out.
And then you can kind of branch out from there.
Okay. That feels much less intimidating than like cold calling people on LinkedIn.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that.
So how can you approach these conversations?
Well, I think the main thing is to just like focus on building genuine connections.
Yeah.
Be interested
in
the other person, what they do.
Yeah.
Offer your help or support if you can.
Yeah.
Because you know, networking is a two-way street.
It is.
It's about building relationships that can benefit both parties.
It's about creating a network of support. Yeah. And shared learning, not just a list of contacts.
Exactly.
Right.
Not just people to hit up when you need a job.
And also, don't underestimate the power of continuous learning.
Yes.
Stay up to date.
Stay up to date.
You know, read industry publications, take online courses, go to workshops.
And conferences.
Yeah. You know, the more that you invest...
the more you learn
in your own development, the more opportunities will probably open up to you.
Yeah, because you're showing that you're invested in your own growth.
Yeah.
And that you're committed to staying ahead of the curve.
So it's about treating your career as like an ongoing learning journey.
It is, right.
Like constantly evolving. Exactly.
Adapting.
Because things are always changing.
The changing landscape.
Yes.
Careers are rarely linear.
They're not.
There will be twists and turns and unexpected opportunities and maybe
even a few setbacks.
A few setbacks along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to normalize setbacks.
Yeah.
They're not failures.
Yeah.
They're just part of the journey.
They are part of the journey.
And they often teach us.
Yeah, they do.
Very valuable lessons.
Yeah.
Right. So how can we
reframe our thinking about setbacks?
Yeah, and turn them into opportunities for growth.
I think instead of dwelling on the negative, try to ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience?
Right.
So maybe you need to refine your resume or practice your interviewing skills or adjust your job search strategy.
Okay.
You know, each setback is a chance to kind of course correct and come back stronger.
So it's about turning those failures into fuel for future success.
Exactly.
Right.
You got it.
Okay. And the job search process can be so emotionally draining.
It can, right?
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
So how can we take care of our mental health?
I think the most important thing is to be kind to yourself.
Okay.
You know, celebrate the small wins.
Yeah.
Like landing an interview or getting positive feedback on your application.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to, take a break when you need it.
Yeah.
You know, step away from the computer. Get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Spend time with loved ones.
Yes.
Do things that bring you joy.
Yes. Self-care.
Self-care is huge.
Right.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
So refuel your energy and come back with a fresh perspective. Yeah.
Now let's talk about something that I think is one of the toughest things about job searching.
What's that?
Rejection.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
It is tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, but...
It is inevitable.
It's so hard to deal with.
It is.
Yeah. It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So how can we...
Yeah, how do we cope with that rejection?
Yes.
In a healthy way.
In a healthy way and not let it derail our whole job search.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that it's rarely personal.
Right.
You know, there are so many factors that go into these hiring decisions.
Right.
A lot of them are totally beyond your control.
Yeah.
It could be budget constraints.
Okay.
They might have an internal candidate that they're already thinking about.
Right.
Or maybe the company is just going in a different direction that has nothing to do with you.
So it's not necessarily a reflection of my skills or my qualifications. Exactly. So I think instead of dwelling on that rejection, try to look at it as a learning opportunity.
Okay.
Was there anything you could have done differently?
Yeah.
Were there questions that threw you off?
Yeah.
You know, use that experience to improve your approach for next time.
So turn the rejection into valuable feedback.
Exactly.
And remember that every no brings you closer.
It does.
To yes.
To the right
yes. The right yes.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it.
So every no is one step closer to the right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about something that I think often gets overlooked in the job search.
What's that?
Intuition.
Okay, yeah.
We get so caught up.
We do.
In the logistics and the resume polishing.
Yeah.
And the interview prep.
Yeah.
That we kind of forget to listen.
Yeah.
To that inner voice.
Yes.
We've talked about logic and strategy, but how can we tap into our intuition during the job search?
Well, it's really about paying attention to your feelings.
Okay.
How do you feel
when
you read a job description? How do you feel when you're researching a company? What's your gut telling you?
Right.
When you're talking to potential employers?
Yeah.
Do you feel excited about it? Does it align with your values?
Yeah.
Does it feel right?
Yeah. So it's not just about checking boxes.
It's not just about checking boxes. It's about that feeling of like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Exactly.
This feels right. And sometimes your intuition might lead you in a direction that doesn't make sense on paper.
Yeah.
Maybe you're drawn to a smaller company that doesn't have as much name recognition. But their mission really inspires you. Wow. Or maybe you get a weird feeling during an interview, even though everything on paper seems perfect.
Right.
But trust those instincts.
Trust your gut.
Because usually your gut is right.
It's about listening to that inner voice.
It is.
Even when it's whispering something unexpected.
Even when it's quiet.
As we're wrapping up, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier, defining success on your own terms.
Yes.
It's so easy to get caught up.
It is.
In those external measures of success.
Yeah, the fancy title.
The fancy title. Yeah. The high salary, the prestigious company.
Right. Yeah. Society tells us that that's what success is.
But it's really not.
But really, true success is about finding work that is fulfilling and that challenges you to grow.
Yes.
And that aligns with your values.
And your priorities. So for our listeners, as they're embarking on
as they're starting their job search.
With all this advice.
With all these new tools.
And strategies.
Yes.
What's one final piece of advice?
One final piece of advice.
That you would leave them with?
I would say remember that you are in control. You have the power to choose a job that lights you up. That makes you feel valued.
Yes.
And that contributes to your well-being.
Don't settle.
Don't settle.
You deserve a job.
You deserve a job.
That makes you excited.
That you love.
To wake up every morning.
Yeah, that you're passionate about.
That's such an empowering message.
Because you deserve it.
You do.
And you deserve a job that you're excited to go to every day.
Right. And, we spend so much of our lives.
We do. So much.
That, why not make the most of it?
Why not enjoy it?
So as our listeners are embarking on their job search. Armed with all these insights and all these strategies, what is one final piece of advice?
One final thought that you would leave them with. I would just say, you are in control. You have the power to choose a job that lights you up. That makes you feel valued and that contributes to your overall well-being.
Yes.
Don't settle for anything less.
Don't settle. You deserve it.
That's such an empowering message.
It's true.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into finding the right job for you.
Awesome.
Hopefully you found it insightful.
Yes.
And inspiring.
Inspiring.
Please don't forget to follow the European Association for Higher Education Advancement on YouTube and social media